Good morning. Ready for lesson 110, and this will be the last lesson for this week. We will not do a lesson tomorrow. We'll be ready for a test. So we come back to school on Tuesday. We will start our review on Tuesday and take the test on Wednesday of next week. I'm gonna challenge you before I start this lesson with the life of a friend of mine that just passed away. He died 2 days ago. Paul Hirschberger. You probably don't know him. He lives in Colorado. He lived his life wide open. Paul was always enthused about everything he did, and one of his loves of life was hunting of all kinds. I can remember one year when he was here, he said he's going to take the challenge to see how many deer he can kill in 1 year. And Paul killed 20 deer in 1 year and then he moved to Colorado, and he loved elk hunting so much, so he just totally went at elk hunting. He had 18 horses, I think, at one time. He'd ride back in with his horses, pack all of his things he needed back into the backwoods of Colorado and hunt elk, and he was a super hunter. But something happened in Paul's life. He was a Christian all these years, of course, but something happened in his life, and he said, you know what he was? He really wanted the rest of his life to be sold out for Jesus like he hadn't before. And he, by some things that happened, he ended up becoming a missionary in Liberia, and he would go into the backwoods because he was such a avid hunter, and all the conditions back in the backwoods was always a challenge to him anyway. But he took that back into the backwoods of Africa, where people didn't readily visit, and he found people back there that were hungry for God and were accepting the Lord Jesus into their hearts by the hundreds. Paul's mission literally saved hundreds of people's lives through the Lord Jesus, through his life. Anyway, he became so sold out. He said one of his things he'd always chuckle about. He said he just never elk hunted again once he got started on that. And then 2 days ago, after he had come back from Liberia for 2 months, lived back in, it's the sticks. It's tough conditions back where he lived. I lived there for 2 months. Came back, and on Sunday he was riding his Spider, his motorcycle bike, and just. They don't know what happened. It's on a straight stretch, just rode off the side of the mountain and rode into heaven, almost, you could say. And I was just so challenged with Paul's life because of what he lived. The challenge you is I want you to start off at a young age. Paul waited till he was in the 50s to really sell out for the Lord Jesus, just like a lot of us do. You're young from your young age now. Become a servant of God, totally sold out. And wow, what the Lord Jesus can use you to do for his kingdom's sake is so tremendous. I'll just bless you with that. Here's the verse I read. Eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. And our minds haven't even imagined the beautiful things that, I'm going to say it this way, the beautiful things that God prepared for Paul when he rode off into eternity on Sunday. Those things are waiting for us. Let's look at that in the future. Keep our eyes on heaven and not live for this life. I know sports and things like that are exciting for us at a young age, but put them as secondary for sure, and just sell yourself out for the Lord Jesus. I love all you students, and I want you to be have a wonderful life as you serve Jesus with all your heart. Now, lesson 110. Here we go. Number 7, the first problem is our new things today for lesson 110, and I can tell you when we get to some of these things, I can memorize how to do them, but I don't understand them well. I'm just going to help you to memorize them. Number 7 has an A and a B and a C, and if you remember, we studied the different functions, the sketches of the functions. This one was simply an X, if you remember that, and this one was a X squared. This one is a X cubed, and then we had one more that was absolute value, and that one is two straight lines. Y'all remember the functions. Okay, here's what we're doing then this morning. We are going to do, if you would, on your square here, put A, B, and C, and then put these are representing our graphs here, but A, B, and C. You'll be doing a good many of these, so we kind of learn how to do these. Okay, and so it says sketch the graphs of the following. Well, all of these are x squared, so we are using this sign. Maybe negative, which is upside down, but that's what we're using this morning. Okay, so the first one on A is a x squared negative 1. X squared is, and this position right here is what I'm going to help you just to memorize. If it does not have the parentheses, the inclusive lines, then we are dealing with the y line. Remember that. This is the difference. If this had been an x squared negative 1, we would be with the parentheses. That would be dealing with the x line. If it's not in parentheses, it is the y line. So here is negative 1. We're going to put a line right where negative 1 we imagine it should be, and then you can even put this. Okay, again, x squared is this, and it is a positive x squared. So here's what I'm going to do for all my. Here we go, just like that. We touch this bottom line right here. You understand that? That was for A. B is x negative 1, excuse me, like this, and this does have the parentheses inclusive line. So this is going to be the x line. I'm going to deal with the x line. X, and this is squared. Again, x squared is this. So we're going to be doing this function right here. And negative 1 squared, negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Do y'all agree with that? So right here is what we're going to be dealing with, positive 1. And this function is going to come down. We're going to bottom out right here, right where this is at. I'll just do it maybe like this so I can show you. That's positive 1. That is on B. On C, it just simply has negative x squared. The negative, if you understand, that's going to be upside down. Is that correct? And there is no x or y, so we're going to be right on the 0. And here's what we're going to do. Here's a graph of this, right at 0. That's your new stuff for today. And again, it's memorization. I should be able to explain exactly why all this is happening. I don't understand it, and we'll just do it by memorization. A, B, C, and then 8. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, the answer to it is D, but we'll try to look at it a little bit. Which one of these, if you notice all three of them, here's what we're doing. X positive 3, and it's 3. X, if you did this could be x3, and let me just start on that. So we don't need, this would be this function right here, because the x3 doesn't really have anything to do with that, but here we go. So what does the x positive 3 inside? This again is memorization, but remember in the parentheses we deal with the x line. So this is going to be on this line. Where does this positive 3 going to be on the x line? Positive 3 is actually out here, but when they're in the inclusive line, you always change the sign. So it's going to be a negative 3. Otherwise, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, negative 3 right here is where we're going to graph this. Now on the A, B, C, and D, if you look at D, I'm just going to go there. I've got to cut down my time here. It says 3 units to the left, and that's what this is going to be. 1, to 3 units to the left. So this D is the right answer for number 8. Don't understand it well, I'm sorry. We'll get through it and learn a little bit what we can on it. All right, going to number 9. Number 9, I think we'll understand a little better. It's 6y squared negative 15y and negative 36. Can we factor anything out of this? We can factor out a 3, I believe. Is that right? 6, 15, and 36. So we'll take a 3 out of it. Ends up being 2y2 negative 5y negative 12. 3, and we can start off with a 2y and a y equals 2y squared. And then what are the possibilities here to make this equal negative 5? We can use, how about a negative 4 and a positive 3? Does that equal negative 12? It does, okay. And then remember, we multiply the two outside numbers. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 plus the 3 comes out to negative 5. That is correct. This is the negative 5 right here. This is our answer. 2y positive 3, y negative 4, 3 in the front. Okay, that's number 9. Number 10. Another one of these in descending order is 2z2, negative 7z, and positive 3. Can we factor anything out? No, I don't believe we can. So this is going to be a 2z and a z to again equal that. What can we use here? Maybe a negative 3 and a negative 1. That equals a positive 3. Now let's do our math. 2 times negative 3 is a negative 6. And a negative 1. That equals negative 7. That is the right combination. Okay, the answer then is here. Number 11. 2y squared negative 5y negative 3. Can't factor anything out of this again. 2y and a y, and that is going to be, let me just show you again the possibilities here on negative 3. The multiples can be negative 3 and a positive 1, a positive 3 and a negative 1. That's the only two. And I'm going to try a negative 3 and a positive 1. I'm hoping you do these on your own before you watch me work these out, see if you can get them on your own. All right, again, we multiply. 2 times negative 3 is a negative 6 and a positive 1. That is negative 5, and that is back to what we're looking for. There's your answer there. Number 11 and number 12. It says check your answers, so we will do that when we get through. X positive 2 equals, I'm going to move the negative 4 to the other side immediately. That's 5. Square this to get rid of our square root sign. What we do on the left side, we must do on the right. So here we pull this out now. X positive 2 equals 25. Take the positive 2 over this side, it becomes x equals 23. Okay, we're going to check ourselves. X is 23. 23 plus 2 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. And back to this was the original. 5 equals 5. Our x is proper. It's 23. Number 13. x negative 3 equals, put the 5 on the other side, that becomes 8. And we square these, and x negative 3 equals 64. Take the negative 3 onto this side, it becomes a positive 3, and that is a 67. So x equals 67. Let's check ourselves. Always check ourselves back to the original. This was the original problem right here, and it says x equals 67. Let's see if that works. 67 negative 3 is 64. Square root of 64 is 8. 8 equals 8. We did it right. X equals 67. Number 14, they're giving us a equation of y equals 2/5 x negative 3, and they want a parallel line to it with a set of negative 2 and a 5. All right, we'll substitute. 5 is your y, and x is a negative 2. 2/5, and x is negative 2. Multiply that. That is a negative 4/5. See if I did that right. I did. Negative 4/5. I pull this back on this side, becomes a positive 4/5. And 5 has a denominator of 1. We need to get the same denominators. Change this to a 5, and it makes this a 25. Yes, 25. Okay? And then we add them together. 4 plus 25 is 29/5. And this is changing this B position from a negative 3 to a 29/5. And that's what makes a parallel line. 29/5. That was number 14, and one more, number 15. They're giving us the equation of a line that passes through negative 2 and negative 3. They already gave us a slope of negative 1/5. So y equals, the slope is negative 1/5 x. And they're giving us the ordered pair of negative 2 and negative 3 for us to solve the B position. This is your y, negative 3 is y equals negative 1/5. Where x is at, we will put the negative 2, and we will multiply that. Both of these are negative, now catch that. One is 2, 5, and because they're both negative, this is a positive. Move this back over to this side, and it becomes a negative 2/5, plus a 3/1. Change this to a common denominator. That would be 5. 5 times 3 is 15. And add these together. Negative 2 and a negative 15 is a negative 17/5. And that is the B position. Negative 17/5. This is our new equation. Okay, that concludes here what I'm going to cover today. Again, I always welcome your calls if you have difficulty. I'm going to try to pull a few of you together at a time for your review on Tuesday of next week. I'll be thinking how to do that. Make sure that we respect the social distancing, they're calling it. But I'd like to pull 3 or 4 of you together at a time and go over the review, make sure that you understand everything before we take the test. So, to complete this one. If you can complete today and hand it in along with your other 9 lessons, lesson 101 through 110, I could do your averages and have that ready to go so that we'd be prepared for the test to complete that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.